Good evening, Source Nation. Good evening, and welcome to another episode of Sexual Health Talk Podcast with Dr. Julissa. I am your host, Kathy B. We are excited to be back here in the studio with you guys once again. Dr. Julissa, hello. How are you this evening?
I am thrilled to be here with you and to be back here on Sexual Health Talk Podcast. Another amazing sexiness conversation we're about to have. Thrilled.
Yes. I love it. Source Nation and Facebook, we have an excellent show for you all tonight. But I will say, Dr. Julissa, we have some new family members that are tuning in tonight. So if you will, please take a moment to introduce yourself and we'll jump right into the show after that.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you once again so much for having me. Hello, all. I am Dr. Julissa, board certified naturopathic doctor. In practice now for over 26 years and empowering people to experience epic health, epic sexual health is what I absolutely love to do. I'm an international speaker, author, and thrilled to be part of these amazing platforms sharing information with all of you. Thank you for having me, Kathy.
I love it. Thank you, Dr. Julissa. So I know you guys are waiting to hear what tonight's topic is going to be. So hold your seats for just a second. We have a little bit of housekeeping. This show is for 18 years and over. So if you have the young ones around, send them out so we can have some grown talk tonight. That's sexy talk. So let me tell you guys what tonight's topic is all about. Losing the rhythm of sex. So when you're losing your rhythm, how do we connect with one another? You know, the biggest thing that I have said, and I truly believe, Source Nation and our Facebook family, is the fact that communication is key. So when we're losing the rhythm of sex, how do we communicate that to our partners? What do we say? Are we bashful or are we bold? Just to say, this is what I need, this is what I want, and let's change it. But let's find out what Dr. Julissa believes. Dr. Julissa, so when you have couples that you have seen over the 20 years that you have been in practice, 20 plus years that you've been in practice, and they come in and it seems as though they're at a juncture in the road where things aren't happening the way that they used to in the bedroom. And it seems as though that they're out of sync, meaning that the rhythm is no longer there. So how can we connect again? What are your thoughts?
It really depends uniquely on each couple's challenge, I guess, that they went through or what brought them to that point. Sadly, many people feel that it is inevitable for sex to just die once you're in a relationship for many years, married for many years and such. And that's not the case. It never has to die. And so I'd love to discuss, as we always do, we're continuing with the teachings of Mars, Venus, the dynamics between the masculine and the feminine. And I love that you chose this topic tonight. So what do people do? What should one do? All right. And so I guess it's really more like getting back to sex when we're discussing the Mars and Venus and the bedroom aspect. So I'm going to begin with the first paragraph of that next section, shall we?
Okay.
All right. So it says here, getting back to sex. Many times when a couple stops having sex, it is hard to get back to it. The interruption could be due to sickness. This is where I meant that it could differ with each couple, right? The interruption of sex could be due to sickness, an argument, maybe there were some disrespectful words said there, or a particularly stressful period of time. But after a couple loses the rhythm of sex, they may have a hard time getting back into the swing of things. And it can be difficult to start again when you haven't had sex in a long while. If you use advanced skills, it won't be difficult to get back that rhythm. Right. So I'd love to share, for example, the story of Jim and his wife, Julie, who
Okay.
actually went through that challenge. Now, what happened with Jim is that he had been out of work for several months. Now, I'm sure that you've been privy to how that actually is kind of like an effect to a man's ego. Would you
Right.
say so?
Yes, I will agree.
When he doesn't, when he loses a job, he now feels that he can't provide.
Right.
Obviously,
hmm
that attacks his masculinity. You've seen this before.
Yes, I have. I mean, through the years that Source Radio Network has been on, and I've done my relationship shows, it does. It tears a man's ego down, especially if he sees himself as the provider, being able to take care of the family needs, and he no longer has to. I've actually done shows where we talked about just that. Who wears the pants in the house? And I had a lot of men to say, if I cannot provide for my family, what type of man am I? The fact that everything now is burdened on my wife or my girlfriend, and I can't do anything about it. I feel helpless. So yes, I do believe that is definitely true, that could interfere with what's going on in the bedroom.
Absolutely, you're right. You're right. Um, as Jim had been out of work for several months, and he was also feeling rather depressed. Now, Julie, his wife of 13 years, she was getting frustrated, not only that he was in his man cave all the time, but also because they weren't having sex. Understanding his need for space, and that's a wonderful thing that she did that. She worked hard at being very patient. Eventually, Jim got a new job and started feeling much better. Everything got better, except there was no sex.
Hmm. That's
Now,
in,
before I go on, it is interesting. Now, before I go on to kind of delve into that, what do you feel, or maybe in the other platforms that you've had? I know that you've had discussions about love and relationships on your other
Mhm,
platforms and such. And
mhm.
if this has come up, if things got better, his mood got better, the depression lifted, he now feels
Right.
like quote unquote a man again, right?
Mhm.
Why do you feel that maybe the sex didn't come back?
To me, that sounds as though there was some form of connection that still lingers before. There could be something. Maybe um, he did not feel, just like if he was saying that I felt hopeless and I was the one that was supposed to provide. Maybe that mindset, far as the intimacy, is still there. So there's a disconnect somewhere, because if he was able to obtain a job and the depression lifted, then some part of that was within the intimate state that they had in the bedroom. So there's a disconnect there. So you have to figure out what that disconnect is or was, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Okay, okay. I love that you said that there's a disconnect there, and I really do actually agree with you in that aspect. Now, the solution was, for example, and this is one of the case studies of Dr. Gray, he gave them a new approach to having sex again. So it can't go back to the way it was when there's a disruption. And that's where I feel some couples lose being able to get it back. Now things have to be approached in a different way.
A different way,
It,
yeah.
yes, what happens is that when we go through very stressful times, we no longer are really the person that we were when we come together, quote unquote, again. We
Mhm.
become very different. And so things also need to be approached differently. Now, the new approach to having sex was this: it was recommended that when she, Julie,
Mhm.
wanted sex, she say to him something along these lines. Ready? Everyone should be taking notes. Ready? Okay, so here it is. Quote, I have been feeling really turned on today, and I can see that you're really tired. It's okay if you don't want to have sex, but I thought I would masturbate thinking about you And as I get closer to having an orgasm, if you want to join in at any time, that will be fine with me. If you
Mhm.
don't feel like it, that's okay too. End of quote.
Okay. So reassuring him that everything is going to be okay in the midst of whatever he may be going through, right? Then still offering if he wants to be a part. So reassurance and then offering.
Mhm.
If,
Right. So
well, that's what I'm hearing.
yes, that's good. She notices, let me break it down line by line. She says, this was what was recommended for her to say to him. I've been feeling really turned on today, and I can see that you're really tired. That's the first sentence. So he actually feels understood when
Mhm.
she notices his state of being at the moment. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay, right? Next sentence. It's okay if you don't want to have sex, but I thought I would masturbate thinking about you. That's key.
Okay.
That's key. Because it's not like she needs a different type of stimulant outside of them, the unity of them, the fact that they're a couple, and he should be the one that turns her on. And she should, I would add that maybe she should say, I'm going to imagine you by my side or doing this to me or whatever. I feel like I would make it just a little bit sexier for the couple themselves. But that's beautiful. But I thought I would masturbate thinking about you. This way he knows, wow, I do turn her on.
Mhm.
She does want me. Sense?
Mhm. Mhm. Yes.
Which I feel a lot of men maybe, or maybe a lot of women forget to continue sharing to
Mhm.
their male partner and letting him know that he does still turn her on, that she does still desire him in that way. Men want to be desired too, not just
Yes.
women. Yeah.
Yes.
Next sentence was, as I get closer to having an orgasm, if you want to join in at any time, that will be fine with me. Now, now has a vision, right, of
Mhm.
her masturbating, thinking of him, and that she's, bringing herself to a heightened state of pleasure. And that now all he has to do is bring her to the end of that peak moment. It's
Yes.
like heaven. What do you feel?
I love I love how you broke that down. The fact that um again, she made him feel understood, the reassurance, and then to say and still give him the feeling that I still want you, but this is what I'm going to do, but know that I am thinking of you. So I like that. Yeah.
Yes. And then the last sentence is, if you don't feel like it, that's okay too. He doesn't feel the pressure
Pressure.
to perform.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge. It's huge for men. And oh my God, if only we girls, if only most women really got it, that they need to kind of be, yes, they can respond quicker. Their bodies do.
Mm-hmm.
We need more time to be brought to a state of desire where she becomes very lubricated. She's now heightened, her desires up, and so on. And that's where foreplay comes in. Meanwhile,
Mm-hmm.
most of the time men are kind of ready, but he, needs to be understood that he doesn't need to be pressured for that if he really is that tired. She understood. Now, here's what happened the next day. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
The next day, Julie called and left a very happy message on the answering machine, the voicemail.
Mm-hmm.
After many thanks, she said the new approach had worked like a charm. Jim was also very grateful. And sometimes it just takes one good experience and the man is back in the saddle. There is no there is no better aphrodisiac than sex itself. Love
Mm-hmm.
that. Absolutely true. And the easier it is to have sex, the more you want it.
Okay. Good
Mhm.
information. Good information. Source Nation and Facebook, you're watching live right here on Sexual Health Talk Podcast with Dr. Julissa. Of course, I am your host, Kathy B. We are talking about losing the rhythm of sex. Okay, what are some of the things that we need to do or put in place? And what I love about this particular part of the story was the fact that um, understanding your partner's needs and desires, and the reassurance, letting them know that if you know uh, sex is not going to take place, then if you're wanting to please yourself, but let them know in the midst of you're still thinking of them, and just allowing each other to experience that. So that's what I like about this particular story, was that both of them, you remember in our last show, we talked about, and we used the word compromise, compromise,
Mhm.
and figuring out where we need to go within the relationship if we're at such juncture. Okay, we're compromising, and we're reassuring one another and letting each other know that, okay, we understand and we give the time that we need to give time, and then when we can come back together, it's a beautiful thing. So
Mhm.
that's what I like about that. So I would love to hear more.
Yes. Well, I love that you mentioned the last show too, because in the last show we were talking about masturbation and what a woman should do if she wants more sex than him. Because the issue was also, again, at that in that show, we were talking about the pressure to perform, right?
Right,
Because she
right.
was constantly initiating. He kind of lost it, right?
Mhm, mhm.
And it's just how the male mind is, and how the male spirit is, and how men are from Mars and
Mhm.
women are from Venus, right?
Yes.
With that whole aspect of the masturbation, the key is that you're doing it when your partner is around, and you're letting them know that you're imagining them and thinking of them, and that is what is getting you aroused.
Mhm.
Does that make that? It's very key.
Right.
It's different. Yes, it's a dynamic where some couples, one of them will actually feel slightly betrayed if their partner is having intimate moments of even with self pleasure without them around. Well, what brought her to that point? What got her aroused, or what got him aroused?
Mhm.
Is he sneaking around looking at this or looking at these things and not thinking of me? Or he's thinking, well, what man made her feel aroused, and what was she looking at? What did she experience if it's not me? And so that's a difficult thing to um, or better yet, it is an easy thing to navigate if we kind of reserve ourselves to knowing it's all right to self pleasure, and understanding that sometimes our partner may not be in the mood, and yet letting them be reassured that self pleasure is done when they're around, when I'm imagining you, when I'm fantasizing about you, right?
Love it. Yes.
Of that. The next section talks about the indirect approach and another secret for helping a man shift gears from not being interested in sex to feeling arousal. And the key is for a woman to be clear but indirect in her approach. And I love this because it very much touches upon a woman being slightly feminine with a few things. So, um, once you ask a man if he wants to have sex and he says no, it is much harder for him to shift and change his mind.
Okay.
Let's take notes, those ladies out there that are listening. Okay, once you ask a man if he wants to have sex, first of all, they don't like you to ask him a lot of questions. Again, we're talking about how women are different from men. Women love it when they're asked questions because we feel that they are interested in us and so on.
Right.
Meanwhile, the man, if he starts talking too much about himself, and then or asks too many questions, he actually starts thinking more about him, not so much about her.
Mhm.
And a woman thinks that it's being polite, but actually, no, they don't like that so much.
Yes.
But he tells the man if he wants to have sex, and he says no, it is much harder for him to shift and change his mind. As we've discussed, for women, it's just the opposite. When you give her a chance to say no and talk about her feelings, she may start to become aroused and discover that she has changed her mind and does want sex. Isn't that
Mhm.
confusing? But we're so different.
I know. I was listening to trying to figure that out. And as you were sharing that with us, there was one particular show where there was a husband and wife on. This is like early on my relationship show, where he talked about in the bedroom, if she asked a lot of questions, he would tune her out and he would lose interest. He doesn't want a lot of questions, he said, because it takes away from the excitement of what was going to take place between the two. So he had to share that with her. He basically said, I was trying to tell her in a nice way, shut up.
Understood. Exactly. Well said, sir. Well said. Yes, that's the case. So a woman should, okay, back to I bet about 2 or 3 shows before, we were talking about the dynamics between the masculine and feminine. And
Right.
yes, as the teachings go, a woman should talk at least 5 times more than the man, but not with questions,
Yeah.
to give her experience, to give her input, to give her insight, to share her thoughts, to share
Mhm.
her feelings, share a
Mhm.
story of the same thing that happened to her, or that reminds me of such and such. And does that make sense? So,
Right.
not necessarily asking questions, but sharing about herself, because a man falls in love when he learns about you, when he can go into you. That's what
Mhm.
intimacy is.
Mhm.
Into me you are seeing, right?
Right.
Intimacy, me
Right.
you are seeing, right? And so yes, that's like that. He told her to be quiet. Okay, all right. Now that's what we just said. It continues saying men tend to be different, very different. Once a man verbally says he doesn't want to have sex, to a certain extent it is written in stone.
Mhm.
Okay, if she persists in her attempts to initiate sex, he feels controlled and pressured to perform.
Mhm.
There we go.
Yeah,
Ladies, so much better when he initiates.
that's
So
true.
let's talk about the indirect approach. This is why I like this part. Ready? If,
Okay.
however, he can initiate sex in an indirect manner, using our femininity and such, we'll see that in a moment, he has time to silently overcome any resistance to having sex and possibly become aroused. To initiate sex in an indirect manner, a woman can develop various sexual signals,
Mm.
even if he is in the mood and doesn't need time to gradually, even if he is in the mood and doesn't need time to gradually become aroused, he will still appreciate her signals because they make it so much easier for him to initiate sex. It's your smile. I love you. What? What? Tell me your feelings. What? Is,
No.
is it bringing back
we're,
moments
we're
of
we're upset.
conversations
You
with
know,
your guests, or what?
I'm thinking when we say initiate, allow them to initiate the sex because it makes them feel better in doing so.
Yes, they feel more aroused
Hmm.
than, and I see, and some of it is a little bit of that innate chase. Let's look
Okay.
again, and now I'm going into I'm in doctor mode again. Here we go, right? Let's look at how our bodies are, ladies and gentlemen. The woman is a receiver.
Right.
The man is a natural giver. He has the natural energetic urge to seek, go, hunt, acquire, do.
Mm-hmm.
The woman is naturally one that should be okay with receiving, allowing, opening herself up to obtain.
Mm-hmm.
And so that it's just innately how we're designed. That is, it doesn't mean that a woman could never initiate. However, the dynamic we've seen, and even in the last show, we talked about what happens when a woman wants more sex than he does. But let's talk about those nice little indirect things that we can do as girls.
Okay.
While these particular messages are very personal and may vary among women, here are some ways, some tips. Women can send sexual signals, particularly through what they wear to bed. Sexy all the time, ladies. I tell my patients, ladies, sexy all the time, right? The
Mm-hmm.
interpretations that are given here seem to be true for many, but of course, every woman is ultimately unique and special. Here we go. Try to guess what the first part is. What? Go ahead, guess. What she wears to bed.
Okay, so what she wears to bed
Yes.
that will arouse him.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. We're nothing.
A woman is sexier wearing certain things to bed,
Really?
going to
Okay.
bed naked. Yes,
Okay.
because it's
Well,
the mystery. It's part of the mystery. I love the in an interview, Dita Von Teese, who is the world-renowned burlesque star, right? And is the actual epitome of, I believe, also femininity in today's day and age. I must admit, I very much resonate with that because I feel I'm not from this time either. Just loving that whole femininity from the vintage style and times and so on. But she said that she never lets him see everything.
okay.
So
And I like
in her,
that.
never lets him see everything. And lighting is also everything too.
Mm-hmm.
So that everything looks absolutely beautiful and smooth. And even she's talked about, making sure that her body looks divine under certain lighting and so on. But wearing certain things to bed are ideal. You look sexier. And so the first suggestion is black lace or garters.
Okay.
I very much recommend it.
I can see that. Yes.
Wearing black lace or garters is one very clear signal that she wants sex, period. A revealing silky black outfit, I recommend satin or silk, says she knows what she wants, and what she wants is hot, lusty, and intense sex. Not only does she want sex, but she longs for it. This is the signal that the man perceives when she's wearing that to bed.
Okay.
Yes?
Yes. And I will tell you, we actually did a show probably about 5 years ago, and we talked about what to wear in the bedroom. And I think men get turned on when they see it. And that's the reason why I said nothing, because they get turned on when they see it, but they don't want you to wear it all night, if that makes sense.
Very true. The whole thing of taking it off slowly or
Slowly.
raising it, moving it to the side. And so, does that make sense? Yes, yes. Again, going for the hunt to get to the goal.
Right.
Moving things aside. Moving things aside. It's all about that. This is the indirect approach. Okay, that's the first suggestion. What do you think? What do you feel the second is? If I said black lace or garters, what do you feel the second one is?
I don't know what negligees.
white silky satin.
Okay, white satin. Okay.
When a woman wears white silky satin, she signals that she would like sensitive, gentle, and loving sex. Okay,
Okay.
so are we taking notes here, ladies and gentlemen? Oh. The black lacy sex says she wants hot, lusty, and intense sex. Is what is
Okay.
perceived, thought of and felt by the man when he sees that. When she goes
Mhm.
to bed wearing the white silky satin, she desires its signal. She desires sensitive, gentle, and loving sex. It is as though she is a virgin and wants him to go slow
Mhm.
and be tenderly affectionate with her. Indirect approach. I like that. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. The next, silky pink or lace. When a woman wears silky pink or lace lingerie, she is ready to surrender to sex as a romantic expression of loving vulnerability and eventually wild abandon. She wants to feel his strength and
Okay.
surrender to his love. There is a deeper passion within her waiting to be drawn out that just needs to be ignited by his passionate longing and devotion to her.
Okay.
We're both wearing pink right now.
I know.
This was unplanned, my friend. This was unplanned. It turned out we both got on Zoom together. We're both wearing pink. Okay. So you and I desire for passionate longing and devotion.
Yes. Take note.
All right. The next, sensuous perfumes and exotic smells. I absolutely resonate with this. And I must admit, I wrote an article on aromas and scents for sexual
Yes.
enhancement. Yes, and they actually do change the mood, increase desire, and so on. So, sensuous perfumes and exotic smells. When a woman wears certain perfumes, she may want to be breathed in and savored in a sensuous way. For
Mhm.
many men, a woman's sensuous perfumes and exotic smells can make sex much more lustful. He must be careful to control his passions and proceed slowly in sex, savoring each stage, occasionally pausing and repeating his previous actions before moving on to the next way of stimulating and pleasuring her.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay.
I like that. I like
Now
that.
that's a combination. I would suggest any of these continuous suggestions that I'm sharing
Mhm.
here, and adding obviously definitely some sense to the mix there. All right, the next we're back to black bra and black panties. When she wears a black bra and black panties, she wants to be seductive, arousing, and more aggressive than usual. Although she begins strong, inside she wants him to dance with her, but eventually end up on top and in control of his passions as she lets go and surrenders to his love.
I like that. Black. So is that what we talked about before? Is that a connection with the color that
That
she's wearing?
Yes, that can be combined because the first one was black lace
Right.
or garters. I love garter belts. I absolutely love them in the stockings and just the whole allure. I feel it's almost a moment of self love and self pleasure also.
Mhm.
When you're putting on, you've showered for the evening, you're done with dinner, you're ready, getting ready for bed, and the woman showers and she is then, either putting on lotion, throwing on some lovely scent, powdering her body, and then to put on these beautiful silky items, black lace, and putting on a garter, maybe stockings, and then black bra and panties. There's that combination there of her being seductive, arousing, and yet also wanting hot, lusty, intense sex. There's that combination there.
Yes.
Mhm. Okay, what about this one? The next indirect approach, a short and loose nightgown with no panties. Now, this is also for health reasons. Ladies, if you don't have your girly time, what I call girly time, your period, then definitely please go to bed every night with no panties. Let her breathe, keep her healthy, and that way you'll always feel amazing. You'll always feel that you can respond to your partner, be moist, and be able to respond without the issues of feeling dryness or whatever it may be if you let her breathe. So when a woman wears a short feminine cotton t-shirt and matching panties, or a short and loose nightgown with no panties, it may mean she doesn't need a lot of foreplay tonight, and she may or may not be in the mood for an orgasm. Now, I'll stop right there. Give me a second. I don't recommend cotton t-shirts at all to bed.
Okay.
They're not sexy. They're not feminine per se. Please, no cartoon characters. We're women, right? And you want to feel sexy and feel wonderful as a woman. So there are ways to do that. If you want to go to bed and you're chilly, wear a certain satin-like robe and so on. I have my own thoughts, and I've talked to patients about this as well. I don't recommend the cotton t-shirt, but the loose nightgown, with no panties, lovely. She's still going to bed beautiful, right? But she's like, okay, we don't have to go through all of the preliminaries. Let's just hit it. How do you feel?
Definitely, if she's wearing the nightgown and no panties, yes. Easy access. Oops, did I say that?
Yes.
Wow.
Everyone's over 18. We've already made that disclaimer,
Yes.
right? Okay. Next part, maybe she just wants to feel him moving inside her through intercourse and is happy and satisfied by feeling his orgasm inside her. I feel that a woman should try her best to make sure she orgasms every time, although it is fulfilling, very fulfilling for many women to feel, herself moist and receptive to her partner during intercourse. And even if she maybe hasn't had the orgasm, she may feel so overjoyed knowing received good pleasure. There are times when I've had patients communicate that to me as well. So that's understandable. Oh, here's the part you mentioned, getting into bed naked.
It was down on the list.
Yes. When she gets into bed naked, after he initiates sex, she is open to discovering what kinds of sex she is in the mood for, or she's simply open to whatever happens. Oh, Kathy, you've just revealed something about yourself.
Not about me. Source Nation, Facebook, not about me.
But yes, that's a good one. So this means that she's open to just about anything. Now, when she gets into bed naked after he initiates sex, which is very different. Okay, this is an indirect approach, still responding to him having initiated. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Next, we have two more, and then we're done. Earrings and jewelry. I do love this. I do love this. When she wears earrings and other jewelry to bed, she feels beautiful and wants to be adored with lots of kisses. It may mean she wants very leisurely and sensual sex. He should remember to express verbally how beautiful she is many times.
I like that. That's nice.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, very beautiful. I like it.
Necklace, keeping your earrings on, beautiful bracelets during intimacy. Lovely. And here's the last. Old cotton flannels.
No.
When she wears old cotton flannels, clearly she is not in the mood. Now, ladies, don't even have these in your drawers, please. It says here, this is a particularly good time for cuddling. Oh, we can cuddle in sexier things.
Yes.
He could simply move closer and be physically affectionate and loving without becoming sexual. That makes sense. I just feel that we can do it in other.
Yeah. No flannels, ladies.
No flannel at all. No, I don't care how cold it is outside.
No onesies, those onesie pajamas. No, none of that.
With
No.
the feet?
Oh yeah. No.
Like I'm in kindergarten again. Oh gosh.
Mm-mm.
All right. So next show, we'll be talking about dressing for sex and more sexual signals. But this was a great show here.
Yes, it was. Dr. Julissa, thank you so much for coming in. You know, I always like to leave either with some encouraging word or maybe something that we have not mentioned in tonight's show. I would love for you to do so at this time.
All right. Thank you so much, Kathy. Oh, what a great show. And we did have some wonderful people commenting during the show. How wonderful, so great. And we accept everyone's opinions and questions during the show. Wonderful. And just remember, we are all, we're discussing here the teachings of masculine and feminine energy, the dynamics between masculine and feminine energy as per the teachings of Dr. John Gray, the author of Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, a world-renowned book that was written. This is the aspect of specifically Mars and Venus in the bedroom. So we'll be continuing with this conversation. I suggest trying these tips that we've shared with you from these teachings of Mars, Venus. Blessings to all of you, and I'm excited for next week's show. If you and your partner are desiring epic sexual health and desire to have that one-on-one support, I am at your service, and you can find my information at drjulissa.com. That's drjulissa.com. And thank you for having me, Kathy.
Awesome. Dr. Julissa, again, thank you so much for coming in. Source Nation and my Facebook family. Guys, thank you so much for coming in and enjoying the show and sending us great information to talk about. So we're ending tonight, but we'll be back again real soon. You guys have a wonderful and an amazing evening and a dazzling weekend. And we'll see you guys again real soon. Good night.
Right.